Hello everyone, this is Mikedot and welcome back to the channel. I'm here with Afromania. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Yeah, just got back from EVO. Had the opportunity to go out to Las Vegas for the first time to check it out. Apparently one of the biggest turnouts in EVO history.
Yeah, so I heard. There was like over how many people came up to it?
Um,
Like, over-
don't quote me on the numbers. Don't
Yeah.
put me on spot on that. But I do know in terms of
Yeah.
I definitely do know in terms of registered people, there was the biggest turnout ever. And just to kind of give a quick perspective before we go in, at the grand finals of Street Fighter, I think one of the lead people that were running the show basically took account on how many people registered, and almost half of the people raised their hands up.
Yeah.
That's how big the participants.
Yeah, I did see that. A lot of people raised their hands up. They decided to participate in pools.
A lot of people participated in pools, and there was even some good games that were going to, like, there was even some impressive tournaments even for games that were not on the screen, like Soul Calibur, Street Fighter 4, like even classic older games, Street Fighter 2. Were even getting some play and some love too, man. Those pulls were pretty fierce as well, even though they never made it to the big screen categories, which is like the main big games.
Yeah, it's okay. I also pulled up the numbers, like over 20,000 registered, like
The largest
combatants.
ever. Yeah,
It was the largest, yeah. Pretty good.
the largest ever. But overall, it was good. So unfortunately, I was only really be able to enjoy like the first 2 days of EVO because unfortunately my flight, good old Microsoft decided to put up an update and decide to call us World War III. Thanks, Mike.
No.
So
it was okay. So yeah, the whole CrowdStrike situation.
well,
I mean,
it was an update.
Yeah, I mean, I saw the situation. I didn't think much of it until I started hearing that everybody else was also having their flights delayed and stuff like that.
Not even
Find
just
out-
flights,
I
it's
know.
logistics. Everything got really
Yeah,
messed up
like-
with this update.
Yeah, the whole CrowdStrike situation was like security software that's mostly used on a lot of like business and corporate like
Amazon
PCs.
had issues.
Yeah,
Walmart
Amazon
had issues. And I'm guessing even UPS probably had some issues as well. FedEx, pretty much anything logistics got messed up, and it even carried it on to the hotels because hotels
Also
Bef-
use Windows and use CrowdStrike.
Yes. because like even when I had to check in, once everything got settled because I was delayed, I'm not gonna keep it short. Even going into the hotels could not see any of their rooms, so they were doubling up on rooms they can't see because they were going in blind because the systems are still shut down for a couple of days. So it was a rough couple of days for everybody in on the globe with this update. But yeah, just to say, so anybody that kind of got affected, luckily I was a lucky one because I just got a 12-hour delay. A lot of people had to get things canceled. But moving on for that.
I mean, I know we want to move on, but I'm just saying that the whole CrowdStrike situation is going to be another topic for another podcast or another video. Okay, now moving on.
Yeah, but anyway, yeah. So, but in terms of just EVO itself, the entire experience was really good. I thought it was enjoyable, really fun, really enjoyable. Got a chance to kind of converse with a lot of fighters, like a lot of gamers right now in terms of their fighting games, or just kind of talk about different games and what did you think about the two new games that that were actually more on show than any of them, which we're going to start talking about one of them. And that would be Fatal Fury, City of the Wolves, which really decided to get a lot of introduction play. In terms of how they set it up too, it was actually pretty good. The lines were not that bad. There were only like 15-minute lines, and you really got an opportunity to kind of really sit in and go and sit down and play the games, a situation like that. Yeah, so anybody knows about that, it's basically the sequel to Garou. One of the most underrated games on the SNK's block, and unfortunately didn't get too much love back in the 90s because there was another really good game, Street Fighter 3 was getting a lot of it in terms of art style and even some gameplay, but Garou back in the day was really good, so had an opportunity to actually kind of get my hands on it, and I think they only had a couple of characters. I know that Terry, Rock, Rodriguez, it's Joe. I forgot, and then there was the two people I forgot. It's Joe's protege, and then Vox Reaper. Yeah, those are the people.
Like Joe's like protege,
it starts with a P.
P.
You know, the one was wearing the glasses, the Muay Thai chick wearing the glasses and the rainbow hair.
Oh, that new. So it's one of the newer characters.
Yes.
Okay.
But it's Joe's protege in terms of the move set. Yeah, Preacher. Okay, it's her move. It's Joe. Yeah, it's her. It's the basically a lot of these characters are proteges of the previous characters, like Preacher and even Vox. If you haven't remembered, he has Grant's moveset. If you actually played it, and you can even tell even with the design, because Grant has the horns, they even pay homage to that in terms of the horns, and even his ending pose, he pulls out the mask, so that's Grant. That's technically Grant's moveset. And as we're reading right now, actually, if you go down side, you know, they're just Kevin Oran, but he was not playable at the test. Anyway, so like a lot of the focus of this new game is the rev system. And which it's pretty cool because I think they really are trying to borrow a little bit from Street Fighter. Fighting gamers will probably get on me on this. So, but the rev system was a really interesting mechanic too because it kind of allows the players to kind of, I think, really press on the aggressive attack. So you have like EX move, like it works with your EX moves. It strengthens even some of your counter moves, which it has if it works with your SPG meter, which is something that they bring back in Garou in the first one, where you choose 1/3 between either the top, the middle, or the back. But while you're on fire, is where your rev meter, your revs, your meter basically can be used as a counter attack if you press 2 buttons. So there's a lot of utility that can be really played with it too, and it also gives you an option that you can't burn it, because then if you do that, you'll end up going into meter overheat, which is basically where the characters get this like red overglow. So you basically you can't really use a lot of your EX moves when you're in this glow, and it's really cool too because it allows you to there's a lot of big focus it's a more offensive game where it really focuses on cancels, and it really allows you to kind of trigger into really good combos and movements and kind of keep the pressure up on your opponents and stuff like that. So yeah, this game is really focused heavily on being very aggressive on your opponent too, and hence giving you the counter moves and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, it looks pretty good from what I can see. Definitely has a lot of it's a game that definitely has a lot of DNA from the old and the new, so it does look fun, and I do think that the art style is pretty good. It's like almost like comic book style rather than manga style. I think it's a pretty cool way to go about it. So, what I
will say about the art style, it looks very good. It looks very, honestly, this is their best visual game that SNK's put out to date. Like, I think this is I enjoy the style. Like, I think if you can't do what Street Fighter 6 is doing, then the best way to go is artistic style, because even with graphics, even with new technology, like as long as you have a strong art style, the game can continue to be playable,
unique.
Continue to be unique because it's not reliant on new raw visuals. Yeah, like Street Fighter 6 might have to be within the next 4 or 6 years when they have to move to 7. So that's what it strongly has going for it in terms.
the thing is like about visuals, strong visuals is good, but aesthetics is always more important because like like visuals live to serve aesthetics, and that's what makes a game visually memorable. Just like like something like Team Fortress 2, a game that's like well over a decade old and it still looks good by today's standards.
Yeah.
And even if you feel that the game could use some and it just needs a little sprucing up, there's like mods that like make the models more nice and stuff like that to give the game a little extra shine according to bring it up to today's standards. But going off track a little bit.
No. I agree with that wholeheartedly. That's why I think this is one of their best video game projects they have to date. It's gonna be able to stand the test of time though, but visually the game looks fantastic. I do notice that there probably needs to be better contrast between characters in the background, because at times it feels like they blend in a little too much. But no, I think the game looks really, really good. It's looking really sharp.
I obviously haven't played it yet, but just looking at the visuals, I wouldn't say that I think maybe the visual effects a little bit too strong. Maybe at times that blends in with everything.
You really have to play it on like videos kind of don't do it justice due to the compression of the vids. So like if you really have to play it on screen to kind of know what I'm talking about in terms of just like the contrast of the characters and the screen. I've really noticed that because some of the saturation of the character, there just needs to be a better, like lighter contrast in the background with the characters, pretty much. Not too much, but just enough of a background, because it kind of feels like, along with like the special effects and the characters, it feels like it blends a little too much. And when it comes and when you have so much noise and information when you're trying to do things, that could be an issue in fighting games.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I totally get you there.
Yeah.
So, so overall thoughts on the game?
No, overall, like for my impressions, man, it feels good. It plays very good. Like I said, the characters that I got a chance to play with, I'm totally looking forward to it. It looks fantastic in terms of its style, its range. I don't know if we're going to see this. It seems like it's going to be a next year release.
Yeah,
pushing for that.
Most likely.
I think they're still trying to get more characters off. Like I said, we just noticed they just announced a brand new character just a couple of minutes ago. I think just today, so I didn't really get a chance to see that. So
Kevin Ryan,
yeah, character, which is it's a return character, but it's a returning character, but it's a new character. Yeah, so we'll definitely see that hopefully next year. I think that's their main goal. And then you'll probably end up seeing that on the EVO show floor.
Very cool. So what else did you play at?
So going from that, I also had the opportunity to play 2XKO, which with that game I have a completely different situation. So I'm gonna hand this book to you, Michael. And based on that book, you tell me, does that make any sense to you right now?
Actually, yeah, it does.
Okay,
so the reason why it makes sense to me is because I played the developers who worked on this game previously worked on another fighting game called Rising Thunder.
Yes, I do remember that.
Yeah, and that was basically the foundation that they were the workings of that game was basically the foundations for what they had in mind when developing 2XKO.
Like a simplistic, easy button game.
Yes.
In commands and stuff like that. And that's totally fine but for everybody else that played that game, confusion. Utter confusion. Like even with the control issues, like for me, because of, again, you had that knowledge. So you knew what you were going to go into. Me, I didn't. I went into the assumption that since it was 2-on-2, I went into the assumption that it's going to be maybe Marvel vs. Capcom in terms of the style, because of how the game was stylistically in terms of the assisting combat. I thought it was going to be that. That's not the case, because again, you have your light, your medium, your heavy, and then I was playing mostly on pad, so you have your dash and your taunt, and then I think your right trigger buttons are your special 1 and your special 2. So that's how the game's set up like that. And for a while, I think a lot of people were struggling with the controls for a little bit, because it was a little confusing on the controls, the gameplay controls mostly. But I will say the biggest issue right now was the tag situation. So how the tag game situation works, like if you and I are playing, you have to tag yourself in.
Yeah.
So which basically leaves like communication errors. Like you need to be able to communicate with your teammate in situations when you're in distress. And if you're not on point, things can go very haywire very, very quick if you're not on point, or if you're not tagged in on time and stuff like that, which leaves like a lot of, again, it's a game where it leaves fighting. And here's a situation about that where like a lot of gamers are not big on this situation in terms of tag teaming. I'm jumping all around. I think what I'm trying to basically say, I don't want to say it's a gimmick, but I feel like the 2-on-2 situation is a little bit of an issue in terms of the communication aspects, because again, like you said, you have to be able to communicate your partner on when you have to tag in, or when you have to assist, or when you have to sit down and break things down. And if you don't do that, that might be an issue. Again, that might be easily able to do when you're with your buddy and you're like, you're in sync. But when you're going into a situation when you have to go online, is where I think it can get a little dicey and a little bit frustrating if you're like a really good player and then you end up getting tagged with a guy that's not on his game in terms of the assist mechanic. I think it can it can get dicey for players.
So what basically you're saying, it's not a pickup group friendly game?
No, it's not.
Yeah, I assumed as much. Yeah. The whole tag system, from how you describe it, I think it sounds perfectly fine to me, because it basically invokes a level of trust in your teammate to make sure that they're paying attention and not just letting you watch your like teammate getting wailed on, and you also having to pick the right moment to. Also, I guess that's just a part of the game. The mind games is like, do I tag in? Do I let the opponent finish the combo? Do I save my tag for a more crucial moment? I think that's perfectly fine. As a game that's trying to focus on this 2v2 combat situation, I think it gives a more like a deeper level of mind games, which a lot of fighting games.
And I could see your point on that, but I think that only works if communication is clear and on point. And if you're playing with a person that's like new to the game and doesn't understand the controls, then that mind game nonsense can go out the door real quickly if you're not on point.
Well, yeah, I gotcha, but I would say that's par for the course of any game that requires team play. So
yeah, but and here's the thing about fighting games, and here's a reason why a lot of these tag team games don't really work as well. Like, because remember, like, I think when it comes to like fighter games are very particular on one-on-ones, because they're able to control, like you said, they are able to control the situation, and to be put in a situation where you have to put that in the hands of another person. Granted, if they're good, I think fighters are just very particular on being able to handle their own situation. That's why, like, remember, the same gimmick that was added on MK9, they added a 2x2 mechanic to it, which wasn't bad, but it just didn't work, because MK fighters are just sticklers. They're like, they just want their one-on-one situation. Again, Again, I don't want to say it's a gimmick situation though, but I feel like that's a lot to kind of rely on if that is going to be your bread and butter for your game, is going to live and die on that tag mechanic. I just fear it could end up going back to one-on-one, because I just don't know how gamers going to be able to work in terms of just communication and making sure that you're on point for, like you said, for the modern games to work.
Well, as I see it, like, it is a 2v2 game, but you don't actually have to have another player on your team if you really feel like you can't trust another person.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if you want to play,
so you can go handicap.
You can, if you want to play as one player with controlling two characters, you absolutely can do that. And same thing with the gameplay. If you want a one-on-one another person with both opponents controlling two characters.
Yeah, but again, don't you think that kills the whole reason for 2-on-2? Like, if you're gonna go into that situation, then it just becomes just like a Marvel versus Capcom situation, or Tekken Tag, in a sense.
No, not really. I think the whole point is the two characters, just being able to play as two characters, and that's just that's the system. I feel like the whole, like, 2 players against 2 other players is more of an optional thing, or just something they just want to throw out as
I disagree. I think that's the basis. I think they are trying to sell the 2-on-2. I think that's the main goal. I don't think it's just, I don't think they want one player one-on-one combat. I think that's really the sell. I think it was mainly because, and I say that because you didn't see a lot of people doing 1-on-2s. I don't think I ever saw anybody allowed to do that. I think they really went into making that the ultimate sell of the game, that they want 2-on-2 mechanics, and I feel that way because I did talk to the creators, and I think the creators were really more. I think he's really trying to push the 2-on-2 mechanic. I think he really wants that to be the main sell and to make that work, based on the conversations that I had with the creator and a couple of gamers that were talking with them. I think they really want that to be their main pitch. Overall, I understand that you can do that, but I really think they want that to be their main pitch based on the information and basically on the people that I talked about it too, because I explained a lot about my issues about the game, mostly between the confusions of the tag too as well. Like, there'll be moments in the game where there'll be those like 1 or 2 second moments where there's confusion. You don't know if you tagged in or not. So it feels like they haven't really done a great job of maybe making a visual prompt and when you're coming in to tag in for your player, because again, there's a 1 or 2 seconds where they're just like, there's 4 players kind of like taking up the room, and it's just confusion right now. Like, you don't know if you're in it or you're pulling out, and like you said, having those couple of seconds can make or break in a tide of a fighting game in a situation like that.
Well, first off, like, the only reason why there's currently quote unquote confusion as you describe it is because people are still new to the game.
Oh yes,
like, a lot of people are still new to the game.
I've taken that into account. I definitely have taken into account. Yes.
Like, the first days of playing a fighting game, you're always gonna get new people who don't necessarily understand the mechanics, who just want to get in and have fun and just mash buttons, and that's basically what you're gonna have to deal with for the first 2 weeks. But after the first 2 weeks, people will eventually learn how the mechanics learn. They'll learn their bread and butter combos. They'll learn the strategies. They'll learn the meta, and that's basically where they go for him. And then the confusion will die down at that point. And second of all, with all due respect to the developers and how they have the vision for the game, it really comes down to how the community sees it and how they're going to go from there.
Well, if that's okay, sorry, finish.
Because if they truly want this game to be a game where it's 2 players versus 2 other players, then obviously they're gonna have to redesign the mechanics to allow it for ease of use. But from what you're describing, it doesn't seem like it's actually designed that way. So
no, I guess not. I guess not from how I played it or how they wanted to perceive. Again, I thought I went into assuming that what this game is, and it's not that. It's totally not that.
Well, I think, like, again, they seem to have multiple different modes, ways of playing the game, where it's just one player versus one player with two characters each, or two versus two with one character each, or you can have one versus two, whatever. So they have their bases covered, and they can basically just gather some like feedback on what the community enjoys the most, tweak the game, whatnot. Because at the moment, the game is still in an alpha state.
It is.
It's technically still.
It's not ready. It's not ready.
It's probably not going to be ready until 2026 at the earliest. To be perfectly honest, some people are saying beta by 2025. That is probably what we're gonna get, but a full release will probably not.
You really think a full year? You really don't think we're not gonna see this game next year?
I think we're gonna see it in a beta form next year, but for a full release, I think it's not gonna be for another 2 years, simply based on the information that Maximilian Dude, who was also at EVO this year, gave to his audience, saying that the game is a long way away from us.
No, I agree. It's a very long way. Again, was a lot of my issues that I expressed in the game. So
yeah, so I think it's going to be a while before we actually see this game solidified.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of fine tuning for the game. I mean, again, in terms of like fun and playability moments, like you said, once you've got it, again, this is the game I spend the most time because I had a lot of confusion. It wasn't until literally the last day where I got comfortable with the controls. Mm-hmm. Like you said, I finally got comfortable with the controls. I finally was able to do like special moves and understand those special moves and be able to make tags and stuff like that. So it was the last day, but I think in terms of what they should have done when they were at the booth, there were a lot of helpers at the booth. What they should have done was give everybody a demonstration, just like a 1 minute demonstration of the controls, get used to how the controls going, and maybe there would have been a better response in terms of the controls and maybe in terms of the tag team mechanics. Maybe, I don't know, that would have helped. But there was a lot of helpers that could have maybe gave like a 1 minute demonstration. That way everybody could go into it though. But visually, I think it's great. It looks very good. I mean, that's just subjective, but visually looks good. The characters look good. Again, there's just like one of these little two moments of games, like you said, in terms of confusion, stuff like that. Again, that might get cleared up as the more we play, but other than that, that was kind of I agree. It's a long ways off before we actually ever see this game make it onto EVO and to the grand stage.
I mean, like from what I've seen, the visuals look good. Everything about the game looks good, except personally speaking, I really don't like the name, and I don't like the UI. It's a little bit too modern, because when I think of a League of Legends focused fighting games, I was thinking it was going to lean into more medieval fantasy aesthetic instead of this aesthetic that looks like a freaking like energy drink.
I'm not against the UI. Again, where my issues with the UI, where my concerns do come with, is when you do tag. I think there needs to be some kind of indicator, like a visual indicator, just to let you know that, hey, you're in the game now when you're fighting. And even with the UI, when you make those switches on like even the life bar, maybe like a halo of some sort, just to kind of let you know that you've tagged in. Just a better visual indicator, just so you can it gives a prompt to your teammate, like you're up, you're in the game, because again, there is that 1 second, because in the game, like you said, there's that tag move where you do an assist move and then you tag into it, but it which kind of gives this weird delay, which you don't know if you're in the game or you're not. So a better indicator a visual indicator or visual or an audio indicator would help out that. just for that moment.
Yeah. All right. Well, again, I haven't actually like played it myself. My like opinion on the game in terms of mechanics is solely based on playing their previous game, which is Rising Thunder. So again, the mechanics don't look confusing to me only because I played a lot of that game, and you could actually technically still play it now because there is a community version of Rising Thunder that you can download and just play. And me playing that game for quite some time, you do have to unlearn some fundamentals of how you control a 2D fighting game. So I do understand where a lot of the confusion came from, because it does not play like a traditional 2D fighting game. It's closer to something like Smash Brothers, like Smash Brothers.
Yeah, I was gonna say Mortal Kombat, but yeah, I think Smash Brothers actually is a better demonstration. Yeah,
because you have like the One Direction like specials and One Direction normals and stuff like that. Yeah, I understand. I completely understand in that regard. But once you get past that, I do think that it's going to be a very fun, deep, and technical game. Because like again, playing Rising Thunder, there is a lot of like cool combos that you can do in that game, cool moves and stuff like that, and it really becomes enjoyable. It especially becomes a game that a lot of people can easily learn it compared to a traditional fighting game. So I do feel like with what they learned from that game, bringing it on to 2XKO, I do feel like this game does have a lot of potential to reach a lot of people.
Oh no, and I agree on that. And no, that again, when like you said, when things work, it visually looks amazing. Like when you can catch the opponent lacking on an assist, and you can catch them two at the same time, and then tagging your opponent to keep that up, you can eliminate both of them instantly.
Yeah,
if you play it right.
So you can basically get like a happy birthday combos on
pretty much. If you are on point, I can see that. I can definitely see that working.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Again,
because it has happened. I've seen a couple of games where that has happened, where like two people were on sync and you catch them too, and they were on sync and they were able to capitalize on it and decimate them within minutes.
Pretty cool. I think this game definitely has an opportunity for some like hype moments, and that's really what it comes down to. Is just bringing the hype. So like overall thoughts?
No, again, I think this game definitely has a lot of work. Definitely has a lot of work, but again, the potential is there for to be a really good fighting game. Like you said, a real basics fighting game for people that are not in that find 2D games to be a little bit intimidating based on the stuff that they can do and the complexities of controls and stuff like that. But again, I feel like the tag feature was a little confusing and needs to be better cleared up. I think in terms, and I do worry about communication issues, especially if you're playing against a player that's online right now, like who's not at the same level as you. I could definitely see some frustration moments.
Yeah, I got you. I mean,
I get it. That's the part, of course, for every game though. But like again, I feel like if this is the sell, they got to get that communication issue, I think, a little tight and figured out before.
Yeah, probably. They're probably gonna have some kind of system where you can at least tell like your teammate when you're getting combos.
Like a ping.
Like a ping. Exactly. Yeah. Just a ping at the very least. Or at the very worst, you're just gonna have to find a player you can trust instead of just a pickup group. I know most of me personally, I don't like to form groups when I just want to just jump in and go and just let fate decide who my teammate is and just cooperate with them as best as I can. But we all know that, especially in a game like this where you have only one person to rely on, it's gonna lead to a lot of frustrating moments. So.
Think of you play the finals, right?
Yes.
You know that feeling where you know what you're doing, the other people don't.
Yes.
That's kind of, I could see that. It's that.
Yeah. Exactly. So yeah, either you're gonna have to get that thing sorted out, or people are just gonna have to get used to making friends. Just So I know we could go on forever about these two games in particular, but wrapping things up, what else did you enjoy over with EVO in general?
I had the I mean, I got a chance to watch a couple of games and matches. I'm not going to sit there and say I went into a lot deep. I played a little bit of tech. I watched a little bit of the Tekken finals on Saturday. I apologize. I don't know a ton of the combatants,
Yeah,
the players on that.
No
I'm not
worries,
super huge. Other than your big names like Sonic Fox, who ended up winning the Mortal Kombat tournament. Still continuing to streak. I know there was another player from Tekken that was a two-time champion. Is he from the Middle East?
Yeah, it was like, I believe it was Pakistan versus Pakistan.
Yeah,
it was
from the Middle East. I know there was another player from the Middle East that won the Tekken tournament two times tournament. A lot of representation from the Middle East, by the way, in a lot of these fighting games, which is next level, pretty good.
I think it was actually like both. I think it was like particular guy. It was because I remember they were chanting five times. I believe like freaking
it's just
I came from
a lot of cats from the Middle East, man. We're playing representing. Even the last final, even with Street Fighter, the Final 6, which was really, really entertaining. Again, being in that moment, I could see why it's like it's literally like watching a boxing match, like a big town bout.
Yeah.
Of these guys trading blows and.
Yeah, Tekken when it comes to like just like trading blows, it's a lot of trading blows. It's good for that kind of combat, and especially with Tekken 8, it being the most aggressive Tekken game ever. Because of the whole heat system. Yeah, it's very I would say more entertaining compared to a lot of past Tekken games.
Yeah, for Tekken for sure, but even with that, Street Fighter was again the highlight because it ends up getting the most people, and I have to admit the Final 6 was really good.
Yeah,
because I had the opportunity to being in the showcase room for that, and it was amazing. Like, I got to see the Final 6 live in that room, and it's a different feeling when you're in that room. It's one thing to watch it streaming. It's another thing to be in that room, and it's amazing, and you just feel the energy, man. Like I said, it's like being in like a live boxing match ring and watching really two people at the best of their crafts go at it in just an amazing fashion. Going back to the two finalists, Big Bird versus Punk.
Yeah.
Being in that room, man, was incredibly intense. Honestly, Big Bird, that guy scared me. I mean, I was going in there rooting for Punk because, I've heard, Punk struggles. And also for Big Bird too, because he also struggled too. He came in second place as well. So this was a situation where they both were runners up against the potential EVO champion from their previous years. And I thought Big Bird played a nasty Rashid, dude. Like, I don't know if he played like the way he spaced players really got me in. I was like, dude, he knew how to space players fantastically in that. And it was incredibly amazing. Just the way he was able to space his players and just be able to be really, really good. I was kind of shocked for Punk. I was a little worried about Punk trying to get past him because he just knew he had levels under levels of his movements. Like, he was able to combo those movements so perfectly against a lot of those players, man. I was like, I thought he was going to win it all. And I felt bad for Punk. Like, the fact that Punk got past him the first time, I was shocked. And I thought if Big Bird were to get out of the losers bracket, Punk was done for.
Yeah.
Punk was totally done for.
Yeah. he was very like it was very getting very tense. He was trying. It was a lot of times where he had to start pacing himself.
Oh yeah,
he couldn't go in because because Big Bird was really like getting to him.
The spacing.
Yeah.
The way he spaced, especially when he pulled out the Category 5 Hurricane move all the time and just put you in a terrible pickle. Like,
yeah.
9 out of 10.
Like,
the fact he was able to get out certain of those situations was actually pretty impressive. Like, you had to be pinpoint to get out of that.
Yeah, he played, like, Big Bird played pretty well, but Punk persevered.
Yeah.
And this is his, like, a big super major, the biggest he's won.
It's so funny too because like again watching Punk handle that kind of pressure from Big Bird was just a thing of beauty. I was very worried for Punk. I thought, like, yo, if he gets out of this, Punk's not gonna get out, and Punk really persevered. I think there were moments where Big Bird actually slipped up too. Like, he had all the momentum too. And there was a moment too where you felt like at the end, is Punk gonna slip up again? Because he's done this before.
Yeah.
Multiple games. He's had it. And then he drops the ball last minute. And it looked like that was gonna happen again because it was 2-on-2.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is a great moment. Everybody started to get out of their chairs because this was a big moment. And then once Punk was able to land his super finisher, man, that place erupted. And for a guy that was going to go into it and it's like, okay, whatever. It's whatever. It's a fighting game tournament. I have to admit, I got a little emotional in the moment.
Yeah, I totally get you.
I got very emotional in the moment. I'm not gonna lie. I got very into it too. Maybe a little too into it. I think I got a little too into it that I ended up raining on another person. I apologize. Like a little, like a slobbering rain. I guess I just was yelling out of my. I think I lost my voice throughout that entire event. I was way too into it because I just wanted to see Punk win. But I did get a little bit emotional for the kid. He's native Philly, scrawny kid. He's been trying to get at EVO for such a long time, man. So, listen, I was very happy. I was so happy for him. It's just nice for guys like that to get their moment in the sun.
Yeah, exactly.
And enjoy themselves.
And yeah, I totally get how you feel because emotional moments are very few and far between, and when they happen, you really feel it in the pit of your soul.
Yeah.
I mean, personally speaking, one of my most favorite emotional moments from EVO is from BlazBlue EVO 2014. There was the Galileo versus Dogora. That was easily one of the best moments in fighting game history I've ever seen in my life because Dogora fought out of losers brackets and wins the whole thing after a reset. And the emotions that were going through his mind when he finally won, it went to final round as well. And the emotions were just insane. The fact that he fought, again, quoting from the announcers, the commentators saying he fought from the 7th layer of hell to get where he was, and he was tearing up. He was tearing up just like Punk teared up during his final match. So you feel it. You feel it. That moments like that is why people enjoy fighting games.
Oh yeah.
It's really a personal kind of thing because it's usually a one-on-one affair. It's like when you win these matches, when you're on top, just for that moment in time, you realize that in the entire world, you have no equal.
Yeah.
And that's what makes people want to pursue these moments in fighting games.
Yeah. No, I agree. It really was captured when you're in that building. Like, you feel it was everybody. You feel that moment was everybody.
Exactly.
Too. And I was caught off guard. Like, I was a little teary-eyed for that dude. Like, I get it. I totally get it. Like, you've come so far, man. And the fear to know in the back of your mind that this could happen again. You have to fight against that too because you've been in that situation so many times.
You have to. It's not. You're just not
the psychological battle of
yeah,
that.
you're
On
not-
top of all that,
Yeah, you're not just fighting your opponent. You're also fighting yourself. You're also fighting your insecurities, your fears. All those thoughts are going through your head,
Yeah.
especially when you're grand finals. I mean, unless you're a person like Daigo, who has the nerves of steel. Not everybody has nerves of steel like Daigo, he's just like, this is just routine for me. For everybody else, like, so many thoughts and emotions are going through your mind, and it's just like, damn.
Yeah.
Like, this could be this is make or break. Is this do or die?
Yeah, I agree. Just to wrap it up, and just for little small things. Speaking of Daigo, why is that name so familiar? Daigo.
Daigo Umehara, man.
Yeah.
The guy
wasn't he disqualified?
I don't know. I mean,
I think somebody famous. I think that might be Daigo. I think Daigo got disqualified.
I have no idea. I mean, I haven't been like following.
I know.
I haven't been following things like too much. I don't think he was disqualified from.
I heard
EVO.
somebody was disqualified. It may be Daigo. Like, I think he dropped the match, and then he was told to come back, and he never came back.
I wouldn't know, man. I mean,
I could be wrong.
I don't think so. I don't think Daigo is a guy that doesn't seem very non-disciplined. I mean, he was at like, EVO signing autographs and whatnot. But other than that, I don't think he he was disqualified.
Again, I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Somebody, somebody's gonna correct me.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know enough of the EVO players in the scene enough. So someone's gonna sit down and correct me. And I heard there was another like a cool moment where a Hugo player.
Yeah, from Street Fighter 3.
Yeah, pulled off a pretty impossible move. The new Justin Wong moment.
Yeah, I saw that. I actually did see that. I mean, moment aside, I was just impressive to see a Hugo player making it that far in like grand finals for Street Fighter 3. A game that many people have basically figured out at the moment of what's the best and what's the worst.
Yeah.
And Hugo is not a character you typically see in top 8s.
Yeah. No,
so to see a Hugo player get that far was exciting on its own.
I think it was also exciting too, especially going back to the grand finals of Street Fighter 2. Like, I was actually shocked to see a character like Rashid made it.
I mean,
characters like Rashid and Ed kind of make, like, these are not usually your characters I normally would see in grand. I would think it'd be more of your Ryus, more of your Kens, more of your Chun-Li's usually would be the ones that are sitting in grand final competitions, or the players that they pick the most. So to see a little bit more diversity, like a Cammy and Rashid being on the grand finals, to me, I thought was actually cool in itself, in terms of where people really are experimenting with these characters and really start to understand the ins and outs of them and stuff like that.
Yeah, very much so. But I also think that's just chalked up to better balancing this time around, especially compared
very good
to Street Fighter 5.
Yeah.
So I think that you obviously still don't see those kinds of characters just because they're a little bit more complex to play compared to a Ryu or a Chun-Li.
Even with a balance, it's still impressive.
And personally, I do like Rashid. He was my main in Street Fighter 5, so to see a Rashid get that far in grand finals for Street Fighter 6 is really cool.
Yeah.
So overall, like I was gonna say, like, so you're gonna return to EVO next year?
Oh yeah.
No, good.
You coming?
Yeah, I'll actually try to come this time. I couldn't go this year, but next year certainly.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great experience for anybody who's a big fun game, and you know what's also impressive? Like, anybody can participate.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, most of us are gonna drown in pools, but listen, it's just for the experience.
Not even for the experience. The dude, I forgot the dude in top 6. who was playing Ed, he's 38.
What do you mean 38?
38 years of age.
Oh, yeah. Well, by that, yeah, age, yeah, of course. Like anyone can participate. Yeah, just like.
Well, yeah, I say that because like you feel like maybe I'm way too old to play games like this, but I feel like this is the ultimate equalizer where you can actually practice and get good at it.
Obviously, if you're younger, you're gonna have a lot more advantage with reaction time right there. But then you have people like Daigo, he's getting up there, and he's still pretty sharp.
Yeah.
Simply because it comes down in overall, people love matches where it's for age versus experience.
Yeah.
And people always love that kind of thing. And you got to get that experience when you watch these EVO matches. So it's always cool to fight.
You do have that against him. I forgot again. Bad with names. I feel so bad. With him and
Daigo Umehara.
Not Daigo. No, I'm talking about the top six.
The top six. Oh.
Who was in the top six? If you give me the names of the top six, I'll be able to tell you exactly who and what. But I can't come up with the names off the top of my head again because it's not something that I follow religiously. I'm more of a casual guy that loves watching fighting games. But either way. It was a great experience overall.
Gotcha.
An amazing experience overall. And yeah, definitely you're coming.
All right. I'll come. Okay. All right. Anyway, that's it for this video. If you enjoyed what we had to discuss today, I mean, did you attend EVO? Did you watch EVO at home? Tell us what you thought about EVO this year in the comments below. And please rate, comment, and subscribe. I'm Mikedot with Afromania, and we are saying peace.
Take care.